Bow wow.
Welcome to DogStar.
Each week we sit down with a star of hip-hop and R&B, and this week we have the pleasure of sitting down with Ace P.
Heyo.
What's up, y'all?
The super producer, I would say,
Truly.
at this point.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, definitely been everywhere as of late, but we want to get kind of the origin story, the whole background
Yeah,
for you.
thanks for just sitting down with us. We know
Man.
you're a busy guy.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, no problem. So
Let's get into it.
yeah, from what we understand, you're from Minneapolis. Does that mean you were born in Minneapolis?
No, I was born in San Francisco.
Whoa.
That's where my dad, his side of the family, is from.
Okay.
And then when I was young, we moved here.
I mean, we talking 6 months? We talking 5 years old?
No. I mean, I went to school, like, all in Minnesota. So maybe a year, maybe younger than a year.
Oh,
I think maybe,
wow.
no, I was maybe out there. Maybe I turned one out there. I don't know.
Have you heard stories of like why they decided to move to Minnesota of all places?
His family's out there. My mom's side of the family's here.
Uh-huh.
I think living out there is mad expensive. It still is.
Yeah.
And so I
Totally.
think it was just kind of like, maybe this makes more sense. We can be close
Right.
to family, all that.
And was your mom or your mom's side of the family musical at all growing up? Were they playing instruments?
My mom's mom she played piano. She was like the classic like church piano player.
She didn't teach you, did
did
she?
you have to do lessons?
So I did do lessons, but the lessons were like the classic, like you've got the book and you're going to like play all that.
Right.
And she wasn't about that at all. She was about like, you have to play by ear. Like that's like how you have to be able to play.
Do you think those two approaches helped you in your understanding of music? Or
Yeah, no, I've thought about it a lot, and it's kind of crazy how much it did without knowing that it would. Where like she'd be on the piano bench, she would play stuff, and then she would like play chords and then different notes. I would have my back to the piano, and she'd be like, "Is this in this key? Is this in this key?" And then if like I got it wrong, she would just be like, "No, you know better than that."
Oh, wow. And how old was this? How old are you? Or maybe how old were you when you started piano lessons formally?
That was I was probably fourth or fifth grade.
Whoa.
At that point,
So
yeah.
pretty young.
You got any musical memories before that? Like who was introducing you to cool music before you were old enough to like buy your own CDs and stuff?
My dad's big into soul music. Like he was out, I mean, in like the Bay Area, which probably was like everywhere really, but like in like the 60s, 70s when like, you know, I think of like the Motown soul sound was like a big thing. And he was playing music in the house a lot. So I feel like today a lot of the records I sample legit are records that like he played or like he and I still talk about.
I was about to say,
Whoa.
it's all making sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sample life for sure. And then moving forward musically, did you have any other like training, or even if you didn't think of it as that then, but like looking
Ooh.
back, were you in like band class or like choir or
Choir
where'd
was
you
not
learn-
for me, which maybe that's why I'm still not a vocalist. I don't know. But I played drums in band for a little bit.
Like through school?
Yeah. But that was so I did that. But I played the drum set more, which was, I like that. So like.
Versus like the timpani or...
Yeah, that was
Right.
kind of lame. I like the bass drum. You just stand there and kind of like hit it.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so like my two things that I played before I really got into beats were piano and drums.
And you learned them around the same time?
I learned piano first, but probably within a couple years of each other.
And was it kind of the classic, once I turn a certain age, once my body starts going through certain things, I'm not going to deal with piano anymore? Or did you kind of keep up with it through high school?
No, I did not. It would have been cool, I guess, to still like be like dope at piano, but no, I was running track and playing football at the time. And
holy moly.
definitely a lot more into that than I was playing like traditional piano tunes.
Interesting. I mean, did you ever do like a recital for piano or like band
Probably
concerts?
in like fourth or fifth grade, yeah.
Any
But
solos?
no.
Okay. I'm just trying to see maybe if the stage ever called to you. You know, I know you usually work
exactly.
behind the scenes,
I
but
mean,
Yeah.
I did want to ask if you ever rapped, because like not many people just like start being a producer. I would
Right.
think. I think a lot of them would have the dreams of
being a rapper?
Yeah, exactly.
I think there was a brief period of time like in high school where I knew I wanted to make hip hop, but
okay.
the brief was before I like think I figured out like what made more sense for me, which is more what I do now.
Did you ever make up any MC names or have any early producer names?
Even amongst your teammates?
At one point, I think I was going to combine my first and my middle name, so it would have been Preston Ace, which then turned into Ace P, whatever. But yeah, so I was going to do that, and like I would like rap for fun, but it was never anything like serious like that. I think I quickly realized like this seems like a cool idea, but I don't think I have anything to say, and I don't like how my voice sounds, so I don't think this is really for me.
Speaking of voices, what early MCs or even producers, like what was the first hip hop album you bought?
The first hip hop album I bought,
or downloaded,
Right,
as
yeah.
it is right now.
Yeah, I know, 'cause I was kind of in that
or
era too.
obtained.
I remember I got my first check from Dairy Queen because that's where I worked in high school.
Wow.
And it was like the first check I ever made, and I immediately bought music. And I think it was College Dropout by Kanye on iTunes, just straight up. I was like, put this on my iPod. It was like a small iPod shuffle that I had.
And that's got to be a huge inspiration for like the style of beats.
Bro, yeah. Yeah, Kanye was like...
He's Mr. Sample.
Yeah, I mean... The stuff he makes now, I'm probably not as drawn to, but like especially in that era, like his first few albums, he was like a huge influence for me and like a crazy gateway to a lot of different music. Like
what?
Like he did, and this was on his album Watch the Throne with Jay-Z. There was like a bonus song they did that Pete Rock produced. And I like knew who Pete Rock was, and I definitely like messed with a lot of like 90s hip hop. But I remember at the time I was like, that beat's insane. Like, what is this? And it sent me down this like long like Pete Rock rabbit hole and like a lot of different people he had worked with and all this stuff. Which I just feel like he's done that with like a lot of different like collaborators he's had over the years.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
How one artist can open up a whole web.
Yeah, for real. Or just even the way he samples too. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So when did you first like make a beat, or what were you making beats on early on?
Honestly, there was a point where I really wanted to be like, because I was playing the drums more seriously. Like I wanted to be like Questlove in like a hip hop band. Like I wanted to like play the drums and like really hold that down. But I didn't have that like at all. And so I was like laying down drums that I was recording, playing keyboard parts, just kind of like putting stuff together to be like, how would this sound
like on
its own?
On like early GarageBand or Audacity?
At that point, I think it was on GarageBand. Okay. And then I hit a point where I was like, I'm making beats. Like, I'm not trying to make beats, but I'm making beats.
Yeah.
And the records I really liked all sampled. So I was like, I think I need to like go get Logic because I knew GarageBand, like start taking sampling more seriously. And that's kind of when I like started digging into that.
Yeah, what age was that? Or what
like,
era?
Like probably like, I think at that, like probably 22, 23-ish at that point.
And that, do you think that's when you started to take, music a bit more serious? Music was more seriously reintroduced to your life?
I think so, because I think that was the first point where I made beats I was excited about, because I was sampling and I was making records that sounded to me more like records that I liked, but in my own way.
Yeah, can you remember the first sample you flipped?
Bro, I wish. No.
And I do remember if it was a vinyl sample or was it just YouTube MP3 download?
I think right off the rip it was like YouTube MP3, and then I thought vinyl would be cool, so I definitely got into that and all that. But at first it was like just fumbling my way through it. You know what I mean? Like, how do I do this? What does this even look like? Like,
but still knowing what it sounds like while you're learning what it looks like.
Which to me was kind of huge. Like, as like a lifelong fan of hip hop, I felt like I at least like understood what I was going for. So I was really hard on myself. Like, I didn't want to send beats to people for a long time because I was like, this sucks.
Yeah. Did you have rapper friends during this like early beat making?
No, which is weird. Period? Like then the whole time I was like, man, I wish I knew people who would come over and rap on these beats.
Oh, dang.
So yeah, one of the earliest things I guess I could find was the King Kamal Without Further Ado project. How'd you link up with him?
That was online. I thought his stuff was dope, and he had worked with people who were local. And so I think I had reached out, honestly, probably like 2 years before that what came out, and I was just like, yo, your stuff's dope. I was kind of doing that with different people who I checked out that I thought would like match my sound, kind of trying to like, figure out what works, I guess, stylistically. But I thought his stuff would work really well with my sound. So I'd reached out to him, sent him a bunch of stuff. it kind of goes like that when you're not working in person, because I just like didn't hear from him for a while, which like why would I? But then he's like,
Right.
yo, I've got some songs, whatever, and I was really excited about it and ended up being that project, all that.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, was that some of the earliest stuff people can listen to right now, or
Yeah,
am
I think
missing
so,
a
actually.
whole chapter?
No, I think so. Yeah, like I had early stuff, even like beat tapes I had done on like SoundCloud and stuff like that. But
Not
I don't
up
know.
anymore. Or?
yeah, just I feel like as like my ability to mix and make sounds be more professional, I'd rather have people listen to a smaller catalog of stuff that I feel like represents me more in the best way I can than something that was like when I was probably like learning more and figuring it out.
Right.
Very
kind of quality over quantity, or it's like, yeah, hey, look, I have been doing this for, 10, 15 years, but here are the
Yeah.
best of those 10, 15
Yeah,
years.
to me, and I mean, I love old stuff. It's more, sometimes it's even just like honestly how well it's mixed and like how solid the sound is. And if it sounds like really like just like bad, it's like, I don't know.
You're saying like if one part's like way louder than the other parts, just for maybe somebody who doesn't know what properly mixed means.
Yeah, like that would be one part. Like you listen to a song and like the drums are way too loud or the vocals don't cut through, or like for me it was even just beats, and so it's like leveling isn't like quite right in that same way. Or like even like sometimes you'll go on SoundCloud and you'll listen to songs and then there's one that like you're like, holy cow, why is this so loud? And you have to like, you know what I mean? And so it's just like you got to get your sound to be decent. Like no one's going to want to listen to your track if they get in their car and like
hurts their ears.
it doesn't sound good. Yeah.
And did you have any early producer influences? Alchemist. I mean, I know we mentioned Kanye.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, for sure at first Kanye got into a lot of like DJ Premier, RZA, Pete Rock, like a lot of 90s stuff. Alchemist for sure. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people like really, I mean, I could list people I feel like forever, but a lot of, I mean, so much of hip hop is sampling. I mean, less of it today. I mean, but there's still a lot of stuff, sorry. But yeah, like Metro Boomin even like samples a lot of stuff, which is crazy to me. It's cool how different people flip stuff.
Yeah, that is super, super wild. What is like why do some people choose to sample or like not sample? Like, what are you drawn to about sampling?
For me, there's always like I can probably like, I don't know. I can never quite wrap my head around the way other people sample. And there's something so unique about how a person hears a record, flips it into something else and like restructures that. And so I don't know. And at the end of the day, I think it's just what I'm drawn to. Like from any standpoint, like art, like everybody kind of like has a different thing. But for me, there's just such a like sound. And it's probably because to me, it's like the core of the hip hop I grew up listening to, but not that you need to make sounds that only sound like 90s hip hop. It's just fun to see how people can stretch that and flip it in so many different ways.
Yeah, totally. Is there like I'm like unfamiliar with producing beats or like at least getting samples for beats and stuff like that. Is there like a certain length of sample that you like can use? Like when's the line between remix and like sampling?
That's a good question. I think that's probably like a kind of a gray area.
Okay.
I mean, people get into that too with like the legality side of sampling, and like, some people are really, wanting to flip it in ways that it couldn't get caught or use small portions of it because of that.
In the days of, hey, and perhaps a lawsuit from Warner Brothers Music would get, more followers on my account, do you have any aversion to sampling films or well-known pieces of music?
If I got sued, I think I would be so happy because I would be like, that means that the record made some noise and like there's money to be made and now they're knocking on your door because they want a cut of it. But like, I've never made a record that's made some kind of money that would like have them even pay attention to it like that. And so from my standpoint, yeah, and hopefully that happens, and then I'll hopefully get a good lawyer and they'll figure that out for me. But right now it's not an issue.
And just kind of doing it fearlessly for the passion, for the love.
That's how I view it. I mean, like for me, it's more about the art. Like I wouldn't want to sample a record that's like a super well-known record just to then, because then it's almost more of a remix if you're kind of like trying to evoke a record everyone else knows. In your own record.
I mean, we were just talking about Kanye West. I mean, he's doing like Tears for Fears samples. I mean, these songs that we don't know, but our parents
exactly,
knew,
or even maybe a song but he flipped it in a way that's completely different, or just he's not relying on the fact of like the strength of the fact that you already know the sample.
So it's just I admire your stance on sampling for sure, and it's fascinating to kind of get.
I'm not by no means legal advice, so anybody
no, I just
should not listen. Like, probably don't do what I'm saying.
Right. I mean, artists just above lawyer for sure.
Yeah.
And then some other, I guess, early stuff. If we're in the time, so you had the King Kamal, and I suppose KPW was on that album as well back in 2021. And then there was Till Infinity, I think, also out in 21.
Yeah, I
And
think that
then-
was like fall, like maybe August or September of 21.
And then Live from Lindale, was that a B tape that you had?
That was an EP. Both those were projects I did with Isaiah Dopa. I was working with him pretty heavy at the time. Yeah, shout out to Isaiah.
You didn't go to school with him or anything. Was that
No,
another
we met online, but then we linked up in person.
Wow.
We recorded at my studio, at my spot. But yeah, we did. We were working on the 90, what was it called? Like 90, it wasn't 97 to Infinity, 99 to Infinity.
Till Infinity. I
Till
think it might
Infinity.
have just been, yeah.
Yeah. We were working on that project, honestly, for a while, because I had sent him beats, probably like as a part of that same wave when I sent King Kamal beats. And I was just like, yo, let me know what you think of these, whatever. So we had some songs that were kind of like slow cooking. But in the meantime, we recorded some other stuff. And that was on that EP, Live from Lindale. And I was like, we should release something, just like get kind of a teaser out there. Because neither of us had, he had an album out at that point, but neither of us had that much music out. So I was like, let's just kind of like get some stuff out for people to listen to before we had an album at that point.
Yeah. I feel sorry. Couldn't help but notice you said that recorded at your place. So You're not just the beat producer. You're like an engineer and like master producer, whatever they call the guy who makes the master, right?
I'll start calling myself that. I like that. No.
Master producer.
Yeah, like you guys gotta call me that when you're in the studio.
Yeah,
No,
no,
I'm
I mean,
playing.
super producer,
No,
master
I'm playing
producer. That's
producer,
hey.
so
We'll put it right under you on the screen.
No. But yeah, so I have a studio at my spot, and
How'd you get into recording vocals? Well, I guess you said you were recording your own drums. So it's like,
Yeah.
is that kind of the...
Yeah, I had some friends that were in like rock bands and stuff like that. So they kind of put me onto the right setup with stuff, watched a lot of like YouTube videos. And so at the end of the day, like, I don't think I grew up being like, I wanted to make music, but I don't think I was like, I want to record and be the engineer. But you kind of have to. And I like wanted to be able to like work with artists beyond just sending them beats, like some of those projects I said I had. And so probably most of the stuff after that project, like that we'll talk about, was recorded at my spot. And then I mix and master at my spot afterwards.
Heck yeah.
Were you, we got to take a break here in about 45 seconds. Were you ever in a rock band, perhaps as a drummer?
No, I've filled in as drummers before. I've definitely played like some different stuff, but my abilities as a drummer are limited.
And what was the draw to drums over expanding your like piano or keyboard knowledge? Got about 30 seconds.
I would do both. I don't know. For some reason, nobody ever had a drummer.
Okay, so it's kind of filling the necessity.
Yeah.
See a need, fill a need. We're sitting down with Ace P. Make sure to follow him on Instagram at AceP_production and Ace P everywhere else.
Make sure you follow us at DogStar Podcast. We'll see you right after this. Bow wow.
Bow wow. Bow wow.
Welcome back to DogStar. We're sitting down with Ace P.
What up?
Talking about early beat making, talking
Yes, sir.
about, we're just getting into, you were starting to record artists at your place.
Yeah, not just making the beats for the track, but kind of seeing that vision through even further, recording the vocals.
Yeah.
Is there any like what's like the, well, I don't want to say minimum, but like how do you get started making like a home studio?
Yeah. I mean, I watched a lot of YouTube videos, basically on like sound and like how to like set up paneling and like where to set up paneling, the right kind of paneling to get. Even in terms, like, this is probably like mad lame, so I don't go like too deep into it, but just like measurements of a room and like if, you know, where you want to have speakers, like how far away from a wall so you don't get like too much like bass getting caught in corners type stuff. Where you want to have your desk, where you want to be sitting yourself relative to the speakers so you can get like a full, like the full surround sound, like on both sides, all that.
So it matters, depending on the size of the room, matters where you do that setup. You don't want it shoved up against the wall.
No, for sure. A lot of that matters. I mean, at the end of the day, you can probably get a good mix a lot of ways. But, you know, for me, I had come from like a not so great like basement studio. And so like it was like a not finished basement, whatever. And like I would mix in there and then I would go into my car and the mixes sounded just like completely terrible. Like I thought the mix sounded good at home and then it wasn't. So I definitely went like probably overboard, but I was like, I want mixing to be easy. Like I want to get a sound that's like very accurate. So then I don't need to spend forever doing this. I know how it sounds here is how it's going to sound in my headphones, on my AirPods, in the car, like all that.
Interesting. And are there things you do need to take into consideration, even like, I mean, we might be getting into the weeds here, like frequency wise, to ensure that a track will play on a headphone or on my phone without the headphones, or in a car with dope subs, or on a old boombox with no subs?
I think it's really like what I was talking about, like bass especially can get caught in like corners of a room and stuff like that. And so like, I think what happens a lot if you haven't sound treated or you're in like just an oddly shaped room, whatever, is like sounds bounce, they bounce back and forth. They bounce from the ceiling on top of the desk back and forth and they get caught or something like that. And you end up thinking the song sounds like super full, but then it doesn't so much. Like later, it sounds like it bangs in the studio, but it doesn't, somewhere else or something like that. And so I think it's just like having like, to me, like the most accurate sound that you can. But I do think about that even like mad low frequencies, say on an iPhone, for example, like you won't really hear them. Like if you have like a deep like 808. And so sometimes I try and shift those up into like the low, like mid-range, kind of like
bring the harmonics up into the...
Yeah, because then you'll hear that on everything. And even like just a person's ear is going to hear that and be able to pick that out more than just like a low sound they kind of just like only feel.
Very interesting.
And kind of back to, setting up your studio space. And again, thinking about an artist or a producer who's, maybe doesn't have hundreds or thousands of dollars spent. But would you say any over-the-ear headphone is going to give you what a properly set up set of speakers is going to give you?
I mean, I wish I could say that. It's not really
in your
the case.
Experience, at least.
Yeah, not really. Like, you definitely like. I think I have like an Audio Technica brand, which is like a little expensive. But I wanted to try and get stuff that I thought would again like be a good, accurate sound.
Right.
But I do think there's a lot of value in just like your everyday headphones, your everyday Bluetooth speaker, because that's what everybody's going to listen on. And so it's like. That's for me almost one of the final tests like that, and like the car test is like I'll mix and all that, but then I'll listen on just like the Bluetooth speaker we have at home. You know what I mean? Like I'll listen on my iPhone, on my AirPods in the car, just like try and get more idea of like what a regular sound is versus like this really nice crisp sound that I've like curated in the studio and like measured out so it's right.
Yeah, that's nuts. In the timeline wise, I think we're in 2021 still.
Word.
But you did the King of the Beats beat
I did do that, yeah.
Urban Lights. Was that one of your first like networking, get your beats out there type things? Or
no, because I had done beat battles even before that. I was probably more low key because that was probably in the spot where I like didn't, like I was mentioning, where I like didn't want to even send people beats until I felt like they were good. And so I'd do like beat battles and stuff, but I definitely was like pretty low key about it because I was just trying to kind of like get a feel for how good I was and all that.
Can you remember the first one, whether it be in person or online?
There was a bunch that were at Mortimer's like pre-COVID.
Oh yeah, Dimitri Killstorm.
Yeah. So I would do those, and I would just like roll through like super low key. It was kind of just interesting to see like what other people had and all that.
Yeah.
Was that kind of your first hands-on exposure, like face to face to the Minnesota hip hop scene?
I think so. Yeah. But then I would go at Urban Lights. Urban Lights has done they did like a series of open mics that were amazing that there was a ton of people at.
Shout out Urban Lights.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Tim and Urban Lights and to Vlad and Kobe who threw a lot of those. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so I would be at those, and that was when I met a lot of people. So when I did the King of the Beats thing, it definitely felt like it was like I already knew a lot of the people who had been there, like all of that. So it was a lot more familiar to show up and do that. It was kind of fun.
That's nice. And then you did also in 2021 the Spooky Cypher, the beats.
Oh yeah, I did do that too. Yeah, that was
Creative
dope.
MPLS.
Yeah, that was fun. I love a good cypher.
That's sweet. Yeah, you definitely have got the beats for it. It definitely feels of that era.
Now, how do you define cypher?
Yeah.
To me, I think of like the classic like BET ciphers, even the Rap City ciphers. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Like I think of like the classic video where it's like Cameron like counting money and like all the different lats are like right there.
So kind of that more the kind of traditional.
Yeah, like
where
one
you
beat
see
plays,
it all.
Yeah, one beat plays and then like I don't know 4 or 5 people come in and spit their verse.
Right. I like that. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then I wrote all my stuff out of order, so this.
No, let's go.
That's my fault. Boom. Don't be stupid. I think is the big
Don't be
big
stupid.
leap.
Yeah.
That's you and Juice Lord.
My man, yeah.
Full project.
Yeah, December 17th, 2021.
Man, yeah.
That's sweet. How did you link up with him?
He was, I think, still part of that like previous era of people that I had sent beats to.
Oh, nice.
right.
He was doing what was it? His like 5 for 5 series, and he had a few of those.
4 for 5.
4 4 5 5, and he had done one of those. And I really liked it a lot. And I remember like I knew his stuff, but like that one I really liked. And I liked it like especially because I was like, I think I could hear him over my style. So I was kind of like approaching it from that standpoint. And so I hit him up, sent him stuff. I mean, he didn't know who I was at all, really anything like that. But then we had met in person at like some of the open mics and just different events because we were going to some of the same stuff. And then at some point I was like, where do you record? You want to come over and work on some stuff? And so we had recorded at my spot and worked on different stuff. And it kind of just naturally led into like, we were recording songs over my beats. It's like, why don't we just do a project?
Oh, that's so sick.
That's awesome. Yeah, some of the other artists on that, Vay, that's a local artist.
Shout out to Vay, yeah. She's a dope singer.
That's awesome. And then aka Kobe and Calhoun.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's it for that one. But yeah, crazy project. And did you meet those 3 artists in a similar way?
I knew Calhoun. I think I met Calhoun the first time through Isaiah, probably, because they had gone to like the same open mics. Met Kobe probably through the open mics at Urban Lights.
Yeah.
They I met through Juice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So they had been locked in.
That's such a great project, and they enhance it so much.
No, that was a fun project. Juice, he's one of the rare people that comes through and like, I mean, a lot of people come through and have ideas, so I don't mean to make it sound like that, but Juice really is unique in the way he comes through and has like a full vision for like a beat. But it's not a full vision in the sense that he's like cornering me in and I just have to make the beat he's describing. It's just like I'm kind of looking for
snare
this.
here.
Yeah. No, it's more like I want to feel this way, and like here are some records that also make me feel this way, and like just kind of like these kind of things and like whatever. And that was really dope to make stuff with him because I feel like we were both like really locked in and on the same page for the couple months we were working on that.
And that's important, that chemistry, that vision. Not all artists have that.
Yeah, for real. No, it was fun. That was a great project to work on. It was a lot of fun.
And having the studio to have people come to, that's got to be like a huge part of getting these features on the tracks.
Bro, that was really why I wanted to put it together and to have a studio, is just because I wanted to make beats and I wanted to produce and be in the room and try and help craft these records and, work with vocalists. But you need a space to do that. Right. You can't just say, hey, here's some beats. Let me know when you're in the studio. I'll come through.
Right.
And besides the audio sounding spectacular, what do you need to have in a studio that like makes artists want to keep coming back?
Vibes, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it has to be, I think, probably decent enough where just like stuff's not, stuff's professional enough. It sounds good, whatever. Like you said, sound, I guess. But other than that, no. I mean, I just try to be me, I feel like. And hopefully, like my whole approach to making records is the fact that like if they're not comfortable while they're making the record, they're not going to sound comfortable. And so it's like working with people within their comfort zone and getting to know people. And for me, making it much more of like a personal thing. And that's probably why I end up working with a lot of the same people over and over and over again, because you can do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would argue that gives a better performance in studio by those artists to feel comfortable, to feel like you're more than just a guy pushing a button.
No, seriously. Or I mean, it's like it gives you more, like when somebody you're a lot more likely to like listen to them when they're saying, hey, I think you could do this and this and this better, because it's not like no one wants to hear that. No one wants like to hear that criticism, whatever. But it's like
coming from a friend or an acquaintance.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think it's a lot of that, and just like even like somebody who like as a friend and and like beyond just music, and it's not like Ace just doesn't know or whatever. It's like no, we're working together on stuff.
How do you build up that credibility though? Is there like trust falls or like how are you?
Yeah, that's what we do. They come through and immediately we do trust falls. No,
or is it just consistency and professionalism?
I guess. I mean, to me, I think with anything like it's like knowing people. I kind of set it beyond just like the music. And so for me, it's like trying to work with people who like, I like, you know what I mean? But also like even in sessions, like you can't just be all business. You know what I mean? Music is an art. These guys are like, talking about things that are very real to them. Or even if it's like a goofy track, like you're not just going to like the way an actor can probably just like turn on, like it's hard to do that. Like it's easier if like whatever you're doing, talking about is kind of like the energy in the room and all of that. And so I think my role is to hopefully just like help do that and hope, bring out whatever they're trying to do and, listen to them and talk with them and flesh out whatever their idea is before they even lay stuff down.
Nice.
Less than 1 month after Don't Be Stupid dropped, we had Timeless with June the Kid and Seiko.
Love that song, yeah.
January 21st of 2022, followed almost immediately after, preceded by Anatomy Part 2 with Righteous MC.
Also love that
as
song.
A single.
Yeah.
That was later released as the 16th track off of A Time Revisited.
That's right.
In March of that year.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
Just, I would assume another local open mic networking.
I think that probably like, I wouldn't have ever thought about it without like going through this whole like timeline with you guys. But I think that probably marked the point where I was no longer like, who can I work with? Who can I reach out to? Who can I send beats with?
Like
and those dudes were in the studio. And I remember like, I was happy that Wright just got that beat, but I remember I was just playing that beat because I had just made that beat recently. And he was like, yo, send me that, whatever.
Oh my God.
And I think it was kind of the same with Timeless. Like I had definitely gotten to know at that point June and Sekou, and they were coming through. And so, yeah, I think at that point it probably was just like the people that I was around and wanting to work with and just kind of playing beats that I was working on at the time.
Did that affect your confidence in sharing newer beats when you hit that threshold of like, all right, now I know who I want to work with. Now I know who digs my style.
I think a little bit. I mean, I think at first there's always like the fear of like before you have that relationship or like somebody knows you, like, oh, they're going to think my beats are whack if I play like a few bad ones, so they're not going to want to come back. And so like it's a little easier once like there's trust from like an art standpoint to probably like try different things or do stuff like that. Where even at first, like I would listen to, say if it was Juice, Don't Be Stupid, like I'd listen to all of his old stuff and really try to like produce for him and be like, what does Ace P want to hear Juice on? Like in that sense. And I should do that more, but honestly now I make beats that I like and I give it to the guys that I like because I know that there's more of like that mutual trust and I think they like what I like. And so I kind of do it, from that way.
That's tight.
Nice. Yeah. Well, sorry to backtrack or throw us off track.
That's all right.
Does your studio have like a name or like a nickname?
It should. No, it's a studio. Yeah.
All right. Just checking.
Well, yeah, we'll have to check it out here.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then, so we're talking 2022, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
We've got the Lindale Ave Sessions with Nucky as well in 2022.
I'll say this about every one of them, but that's also one of my favorite projects. Like Nucky is just like, he is so insane. Like his ability to rap is through the roof.
And also in July of 2022, The Vent Part 1 with June the Kid single. Again, later release is the 10th track off of Just Get Home in May of 2023. So I almost a little bit under a whole year after that single was dropped.
Yeah.
And working with June again, I love it.
No, I love working with June. He and I are working on a project right now that we're going to be rolling out this year. But
whoa,
yeah, no, June
that's
and I.
Exciting.
But no, we love working together. The Vent is such a good song to me. Like I love that, and I don't even say that because I produced it. Like June's performance on that is just nuts. I remember. I wish I could tell you what song we recorded, but it was a song we recorded probably. I couldn't even tell you what project it was for, but we recorded a song that night, and June was over. And I was kind of tired, and I think everyone was going to go. And then June was like, yo, like, that beat you sent me, which was the Vent beat, he's like, I wrote something for that. Do you think I could lay it down? And I remember in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm afraid I'm going to fall asleep right now. But I'm like, what am I going to say? No? Like, I really like June a lot. So I was like, yeah, no, let's do it, whatever. Not only was I just like shook by like how good the song was and like his performance, he knocked that thing out. I think he did one take and then did like some ad libs on it. And I was just like, oh my God, like it was very impressive.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
We love those making of stories like that.
No, for real. I remember afterwards I was like, I can't believe I even questioned like whether or not I should record this.
Yeah. So quick question. We only got like 2 minutes before we got to take another break, but it says part 1. Does that mean that you chopped a song in half or like why?
No, I think it was more, we were talking about, it's like half of like, I think what he was trying to talk about. So I think there's like a little bit more of it. I'll leave it at that because I think it's more like his content to share and hopefully I'll produce the song.
Oh, that's so exciting. I mean, We'll have to wait till after the break, but I want to talk more about what you just said, this upcoming June the Kid collaborative project. But let's keep rocking through the timeline until we got to take a break.
Heck yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, the end of 2022 is when you dropped Patterns with Juice Lord, Vinny Crooks, June the Kid, Nucky, and Saiku all on the one track.
It kind of felt like we were like the Avengers for like a hot second.
Yes. Yeah. That... Yeah, it was great seeing everybody get together, do the video, photo shoots, like really roll that out. Like, that's the type of momentum that we like to see here in the Twin Cities.
Man, that was fun.
Before we take a break, did you have any tracks that inspired you where they'll put 5+ MCs on it?
I can't think of any one off the top of my head. Maybe one I do like a lot is that song One Train. You guys know that with like Action Bronson, Joey Badass.
Oh, I think so, yeah.
I know Danny Brown's on it. Big Crit is on that. But no, I mean, I love a track like that. Like I was so happy to be like, this is the single. Like we're going to have 5 people on it, like kind of a hook. Like this is what I want to put out.
I love it. I mean, that's reminiscent of the early days of hip hop. I love it.
No, for real. Which is kind of what I like. A lot of the stuff that I grew up on.
We're sitting down with Ace P here on DogStar.
Follow him on Instagram, AceP_ production. Follow us at DogStar Podcast.
We'll be right back.
Bow wow. Bow wow.
Welcome back to DogStar. We're here sitting down with the master producer, Ace P.
Bow wow.
We are, ripping through the discography. So many sweet features, and it's awesome hearing kind of the story of how you're meeting these different pockets of people.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be listening through the catalog a lot differently now that I'm
That's cool.
learning these stories. We just talked about Patterns, so then, of course, we need to talk about Things I Can't Speak About.
Man, yeah.
That was, a fantastic rollout, and then the show at 7th Street, was a phenomenal show. Obviously, a star-studded because the album star-studded.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration, I guess, semi-briefly, behind putting together a project versus just a slew of singles or someone else's project?
I can probably be brief in this one, really, because this was something I always wanted to do. I couldn't really tell you why, I guess, but like as a producer, like, you know, you always do something with other people like that, and it's still obviously there's a ton of other people who are amazing on it, but I always wanted to do an album that was like, these are the people I frequently collaborate with. These are like my homies. Like, we're going to do a project. I'm going to curate the whole thing. I'm going to drop it together. And so it's dope to make that happen.
Yeah, very Chronic, very 2001, very Compton of you, very Dr. Dre of you, very DJ Premier of you.
No, for real. That was, because that was a lot of stuff I listened to for sure. So, no, it was cool to make that happen. And I definitely tried to do that. You know, like I had said, it kind of made sense talking about the discography because I was at the point where I had a lot of these guys that I was working with a lot on a regular basis. So it made more sense.
That's so cool.
And I got to ask, what is the title an allusion to, or is it a literal interpretation of perhaps from your perspective things you can't speak about, but you do have a stance on, an opinion on?
I liked it because that's one way to take it. There's a lot of ways to take it. I mean, up front, like face value, you could say like I'm not a rapper. Like there's actually one hidden spot that you hear my voice on the album. No, like I don't. I'm not a vocalist, so it's like literally these are things I can't speak about.
Okay.
Music can be more of an emotional thing at times, and so sometimes the things that you talk about on a record or even feelings I might evoke when I'm making an album, they're not things I can speak about. I can only maybe make a record to me that sounds like what that is. So I say that to say there's probably a whole list of different things in my head. I was like, this is cool. You can kind of look at this through a lot of different lenses, and it kind of all makes sense to me.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, I hate to be so gauche and to ask you, but I've always been curious. I've always been curious.
Yeah, features on that, just to run through them.
Get ready.
Righteous MC, Juice Lord, Nucky, Y Khalik, Vinny Crooks, June the Kid, Seiku, Boom 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 Boom, Bushido Chop, Naj, is that how you say
Naj, who goes by Peace God now if you're trying to find him.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Reiki?
Reiki, yeah. Check out Reiki.
Is that like
He's
The Rock?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Reiki's the man. Yeah, he and I, not going to promise anything, but he and I have been talking a lot. He's going on tour, and we were talking about trying to maybe work on some stuff. He produces, I produce, and so it's always kind of cool to get in the room with somebody else who does some stuff like that.
Fun.
And then we've got another Juice collab.
5 for 20?
Yeah, 5 for 20.
Yeah,
Fifth
let's
track
go.
off of 8th Inning.
Love that track.
Oh, such a great one.
I mean, that Ace, we got another one. Hearing that just once on that album made me think you produced the whole thing.
Yes.
So, like, that's great. Great to hear that again.
And such
Yeah.
a such
That's
a
such
fun
a fun
song.
record, yeah.
Yeah. Super, super fun. And then you did Mount Olympus 4 with Righteous MC.
Yeah, that was the last thing. I think the last thing I released.
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah,
8 tracks.
Yeah, no, that was great project. Righteous is obviously one of the most talented MCs in the Twin Cities. And I don't even want to limit that to the Twin Cities, to be honest. But no, incredible guy to work with, incredible human being, incredible guy to work with from every standpoint. Like, he's just like, he's your favorite MC's MC, kind of that type of guy. So he's just easy to work with. He's so talented, like I said, just, yeah.
Well, we hope you work together with him in the future. I mean,
Oh, yeah, we definitely will, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't doubt it with the consistent people keep coming back when they work with you. It
Yeah,
seems
well,
like
the
it.
project we were talking about with June, sorry to like cut you off. A lot of the names from things I can't speak about, and a lot of these guys I've worked with, Righteous being one of them, are guys that are featured on this project that we're working on. So definitely expect more from myself and a lot of this crew. Yeah.
What other spoilers can you give us about that June collaborative project?
Working on a project right now. We're shooting a video for a single coming up here soon. So I think, planning rollout type thing. I don't want to promise any dates and all that, but
That's exciting,
definitely some stuff between June and I, and a lot of the same cast we talked about coming up this year.
So keep your eyes peeled and ears.
That's right.
Any of the same like videographers or photographers?
We're
or
shooting another
graphic
video
designers?
with Matt Wales.
Oh, the
who does
patterns.
patterns.
Yeah,
Nice.
sick.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
Your representatives sent 2 tracks over, one of
Yeah.
them being Patterns.
Let's
That's
go.
right. That's right.
The other one, again, being a track we had mentioned earlier, The Vent Part 1 with June the Kid. Patterns with Sekou, Juice Lord, June the Kid, Nucky, and Vinny Crooks. You had talked, I think, briefly about meeting the crew. What more can you give us into the inside of recording that? It wasn't everyone shoulder to shoulder in the studio at one time, was it?
Everyone that was on that song was in the studio at that
Are
time.
you kidding
Yeah.
me?
No
That's
way.
so
For pretty
cool.
much all the songs on Things I Can't Speak of. I think every song it was like that. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I had a vision of picking beats and being like, I want you 3 on this song type thing, whatever. And it was not that, which I'm happy it wasn't that, because everybody's an artist and they kind of have their say too. So it ended up being like sessions where I would just play a bunch of beats that I had been working on and we would pick one, whatever. That night, I was part of a group chat pretty much with everybody who was on the album, and I was like, yo, come through tonight and we're going to be recording whatever. Everyone who was on Patterns came over, which was more than normal. So we were like, okay, this is definitely going to have to be like a cypher song.
And you didn't want to like
We
kick
got-
anyone out or
Well,
anything.
no,
Right,
I was
right.
like, no, I mean, we don't have a cypher song, and I was recording this album at the time, so I was like, let's, do a song like that. And I had this beat in mind, and I was like, I bet if I play this is going to be the one. So it was, and I basically kick it while everybody writes their verses and then record them all.
That's so
Hey.
cool. And what can you tell us about the Vent Part 1, about the recording or writing process of that?
I mentioned that earlier. That was the one June recorded at my spot. That was kind of late at
that
night
was
and
the
all
one
Yeah,
take.
no,
That's
but,
right. That's right.
crazy track. Part of the reason I chose it is kind of to try and promo some stuff with June and I coming up between he and I. But no, honestly, just one of my favorite songs, and a song that has gotten, at least in person, like people always seem like it's one of their favorite songs that I've done.
Is there a famous sample in that my ears might have missed?
There is a sample, but I don't think one that you would probably know.
Oh,
I won't snitch
okay.
on myself. I can tell you after if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be listening.
We're running low on time. I wanted to ask you if you think there's a shortage of producers or the ratio of rappers to producer, if you like how it is currently as a producer yourself.
That's a good question. I mean, I can't complain. I don't know. I'm more competitive at times than I should be. So I'm like, if there's more, like you just have to make better beats, I guess, which is kind of like a callous take, but that's how I would approach it.
No.
So I don't know, like a shortage. I think sometimes there's a shortage of people who do what I do.
Multifaceted.
Yeah, and that's not anyone's fault. That's just because it's like a lot to set up a studio.
Right, the
but I think
one-stop
that
shop.
like if more people had that would be great for like the hip hop scene, because I think there's a lot of people who want to lay stuff down and have songs, but there's the barrier, which is just recording that and getting it mixed and mastered and sounding decent.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like mixing or like taking your production and then taking your engineering and putting them together as a package is like really benefited you. Is there any additional roles that you consider taking on to like make yourself the ultimate?
Man, I don't know. I mean, if it came up, with anything, if it's like, trying to do promo and stuff like that, taking little videos, whatever. But it's kind of like you guys. You guys, I think, like interviewing people, probably more than you like setting up cameras and stuff like that. But there's things that just come with the job that you have to do. And so for me, I want to get my music out there, but I don't want it to sound bad. So I do the things that I need to do to make sure that sounds best it can. And I don't even mean that from the vocals, but just from the mixing and mastering and polishing it and all that.
Yeah.
Before we go, we have about a little less than a minute left. Any advice for producers who haven't released beats yet? Maybe they're a little afraid of being judged by their peers.
Make a whole project, like a whole beat tape, or make a project with your friend or rap over it and then throw it out and don't do anything with it. But act like you're going to do it. Like I say that
put in that 10,000
I just say that like
hours.
to get the reps, like really just like get a lot of reps. Like there's going to be a point where you're more comfortable. Like you're only ever going to get better. Like you just have to do it.
Well, keep doing what you're doing, man. we appreciate you sitting down with us.
Bow wow.
Yeah.
Definitely follow Ace P Instagram ACEP_PRODUCTION. Ace P everywhere else.
Make sure you follow the show at DogStar Podcast everywhere. Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. We'll see you next week. Bow wow.
Bow wow.
What up, Ace? Southside made me. Hip-hop crazy. I was brought up off of love and hard lessons. Days up on the south side had us all stressing. But we ain't one for nothing. Every paycheck, mom stretched it. It showed me you can come up massive off a small investment. I got robbed one time, bullets was all in question. Made me feel like I was naked, changed my state of mind. And now I feel like every day I gotta stay with iron. Cause ain't no fair ones or no phase when it's danger time. Behind the laughter and these smiles is where pain reside. We elevating my old ways of thinking, gotta stay behind. At the same time, moving too fast and led to their demise. Ain't no shortcuts up in this life, you gotta wait in line. Never would've guessed in my lane would be rapping, reminiscing on days I would hoop at teen night after practice. Now shit ain't as simple, had to change the chapter. Life gave me a mean one, had to pedal backwards. I had to shake it off and get back on the track for real. Try and tell me I should stop and smell the daffodils. I can't stop until I pop and get to touch the racks for real. Got no time to be chillin', I'm trying to build. Seem like the older I get, the more my visions fulfill. The more I realize time is what's really precious for real. I miss my brother, still can't get over his death for real. Feel like I ain't doing enough for my nephew and still I pour my soul on these tracks, they feel it like it's in braille. Clutching moral victories next to my heart like holy grails. The coldest places can make you feel you in hell. Bridges burning left and right, got me tweaking off the smell. If I could hear our voice one more time, I give up all this rap shit, I swear to God. His name gon' live forever within these lines. It's power in the tongue when I spit these rhymes. And we gon' keep on that until the legacy every time. It's the kid, it's the basement, it's the south side. It's the stance, it's the placement, leave your mouth wide. It's the regime, it's the respect, I get that off top. They gotta lump me with the best, cause this was off top.
That's the way it, that's the way it was.
We got another one. You are now watching Masters at Work. 1 to the 2, 3 to the 4. 1 to the 2, 2, 3 to the 4. 1 to the 2, 3 to the 4. We don't wanna hear that we no more. Black on both sides, up in feeling like yes and bae. Got a total to track every time that we lay. Love to play crazy till they meet something that's far from safe. Don't know what's like one that don't know how to play spades. Please don't throw shade. One across your jaw can make your tooth decay. Had a Kool-Aid smile, but speaking down to let you all to some harder days. I got 300 Spartans ready for war up in these modern days. Souls can't be tainted cause we all solid, forever paid. Ay! 1 to the 2, 3 to the 4. We don't wanna hear that we no more.
I seen my first murder in 05 from the land of low lies. From north side to worldwide, clocked in, I'm on time. I just stick to my lane like a pork pie. Had to cut off old ties, stay fly like bow ties. All praise to the most high on both sides. Went on tour with no cosign. Yeah, I'm trying to go multi. I'm a hornet straight out the hive, hit a stain with the 9. Get that cream like chives, just like yeast. I watch it rise. Keep the peace with a piece of that devil's pie. I revolutionize your minds to free their minds. I redefine the blueprint. Flow stronger than turpentine. Riding the whip they had in the cover was Superfly. Keep it built that super size. Haters wanna scrutinize to my demise. Me and my tribe been on a long quest. I'm on the next with this pen like I'm Joe Pesci. It's a doggy dog world. I tell my dogs to go fetch. Got my weight up like I hit the bow flex. Do or die, that's Pope Pimp. Keep pockets thick like cold bricks. Cold summers waking up in cold sweats. Still a known threat. Light up your spot like gold text. They hate you from afar, but the arms open. I'm a lone soldier when it comes to bonds broken. When we see them ops rolling, keep them blocks loaded. Count money like stockbrokers. Vision clear like bifocals. Used to rockin' venues to the bars closing.
1 to the 2, 3 to the 4. We don't wanna hear that we no more.
I step in this booth like I was shadow boxing God. I look around and see all lions in my squad. I can't take these serious when they rap. I'm steady down in y'all facades. You a drug kingpin and a poet, what's the odds? That's your business though. Please don't play the kid, these synonyms get critical. We did them pitiful and now we cynical. We in 2 whole different weight classes, the risk is minimal. A bunch of 5-ways trying to spar with Riddick Bowe. Opposition plentiful, not to mention we ain't stop when shit got tough, we get involved. I got a champion's resolve, that's on my mom. Chip on my shoulder made me bomb on every song. I treat it like we going to war, I'm on my second tour now. Respect it cost the city cause the squad different. Had to put work in but for the most part the flow God given. Move with some titans when we sliding cause the mob gifted. Pressure by myself, don't need no ghostwriter to augment it.
Reporting live from the cemetery where get scary. I dig deep enough in my archives, get you buried. Neria could spit this deadly, I'm sick. Watch me spread like venereal disease through your stereo. This word of mouth and I spit, they gon' catch it like mono. Tell Master P to sign me, it ain't no limits where I go. They read my lyrics like Holy Bible. I kill everything that I get on like this rap. It's my source of survival. Don't beef with me cause I ain't keeping it cool. It's on sight when I see you like we was meeting on Zoom. Visionary, I see that you beating your doom. No sympathy for enemies when Nucky be in the room. But anyways, I've been trying to get ahead like a new barber. Still repping free lunch, name another crew harder. Meanwhile, I'm in the basement with the gang. Vinny still being a crook and Juice selling everything. 1 to the 2, 3 to the 4. 1 to the 2, 2, 3 to the 4. 1 to the 2, 3 to the 4. We don't wanna hear that we no more.
Where I'm from, we got the keys without the open doors. Hammer strike with thunder like a war with Thor. Life or death in the joy, your life is just a spoiler war. Buy so many bags, you should be sponsored by the corner store. So much gas that America might go to war. With my guy, the way we pedal gas could win the Tour de France. Youngest getting too cavalier, trying to play they dad. Call him Larry Nance, couldn't measure up worth the damn. This that tried and true, we giving classic sound on the man. This one sound like standing, steady ducking and rambling. Shredded like Rambo, grab his pant, turn to Hamlet. No matter who's in the story, them dying tragic. Skeletons in my closet is rappers who couldn't hack it. Got these stitches as proof that I'm on that fabric of rappers who's been carrying the flame like a lantern. So if you follow in the bodies, then you see in the pattern.
Okay. Talk boxing, be professional. He is talking boxing. Be professional. We don't talk, we do what we do. Exactly. Y'all just talking street stuff. We don't talk, we do what we do. Chump.